All right, so you're curious about what it takes to be a corporate social responsibility manager. These days, it feels like everyone's talking about companies being ethical, sustainable,
Yeah,
and they should be.
absolutely.
But it's not just a trend, it's a whole career path that's absolutely exploding right now. And
Yeah.
you're in the right place because in this deep dive, we're going to unpack exactly what a CSR manager does, why it matters, and how you can even become one. So, no capes or superpowers, but maybe just as impactful.
Right. Forget Superman. These folks are all about corporate sustainability.
Exactly. So let's break it down. What's the day-to-day like for a CSR manager?
Well, it's a lot more dynamic than just telling companies to go green, although that is a part of it. Think of them as the ethical architects of a company. For example, imagine you're a CSR manager for a tech giant. You might be the one establishing ethical sourcing guidelines for the materials in their smartphones. We're talking about preventing things like conflict minerals from ending up in their products.
Wow, so they're dealing with global supply chains, complex regulations, cutting-edge technology all at the same time. Our sources mention a bunch of skills these managers need. Communication, critical thinking, even a bit of diplomacy. It's like they're juggling a whole bunch of responsibilities, but why is this role becoming so crucial right now specifically?
It all boils down to a massive shift in consumer consciousness. People aren't just buying products anymore, they're buying into the values a company represents. They want to know their clothes are made ethically, their coffee is fair trade, and that the companies they support treat their employees right.
So it's not just about good PR anymore. It's about meeting a real demand for ethical business practices.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the war for talent. Companies are realizing that strong CSR initiatives attract and keep top-tier employees, especially younger generations who prioritize these values.
It's like our source said, CSR is becoming a core business function, not just a feel-good side project. Okay, so let's say someone's inspired to join the CSR movement. What does that journey look like?
Well, it's a path, not a leap. You might start as a CSR coordinator, then specialize in a specific area like environmental sustainability or stakeholder engagement. As you gain experience, you move up to advisor roles, and eventually, you're the one calling the shots as a CSR manager.
So it's like leveling up in a video game. You gain real-world expertise and climb the corporate ladder with each step. Speaking of leveling up, our sources mention a couple of valuable certifications, CSR practitioner and sustainability professional. Those sound pretty official.
They definitely boost your credentials and demonstrate your commitment to the field. Think of them as badges of honor in the CSR world.
But before we even get to certifications, what about education? Is a business degree the only way to go?
Not at all. It's surprisingly diverse. Of course, a business administration degree can be a great foundation. But we also see folks with backgrounds in environmental studies, social work, even international relations thriving in this field.
So you're telling me my passion for those documentaries on social justice wasn't in vain after all.
Exactly. The key is a solid understanding of social and environmental issues, business ethics, and of course, top-notch communication skills.
So we've covered the why and the how to become, but let's get real. What's it actually like to be a CSR manager? What's the day-to-day vibe?
Picture this. One day, you're crafting the company's sustainability report, diving deep into data and showcasing their progress. The next day, you're partnering with a local nonprofit to tackle a community issue, putting your company's resources to work for good.
Okay, that sounds pretty incredible. But we'd be remiss if we didn't address the elephant in the room, or should I say, the challenges in the boardroom. Because, let's be honest, no job is without its hurdles, right?
Right, every job has its challenges, and CSR is no exception.
So let's talk about the not-so-glamorous side. What are some of the biggest hurdles for CSR managers?
Well, one of the main ones is the sheer workload. CSR managers often wear many hats and are responsible for a wide range of initiatives. It can be incredibly demanding, especially in larger companies.
So time management and prioritization skills are key.
Absolutely. And then there's the constant challenge of measuring impact.
Yeah, it makes sense. How do you actually quantify the positive change these initiatives are creating?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's something CSR professionals grapple with constantly. It's not always as simple as tracking profits or sales figures. We're talking about measuring things like improved environmental sustainability, social equity, and ethical sourcing practices.
So it requires a deep understanding of data analysis and finding creative ways to measure what matters.
Exactly. And we can't forget about navigating internal politics.
Ah, yes, the dreaded office politics. How do CSR managers get everyone on board, especially when some people might be resistant to change?
It's a delicate dance of building relationships and making a compelling business case for CSR. They need to demonstrate how these initiatives not only align with the company's values, but also contribute to its bottom line.
So it's about highlighting those win-win situations where doing good is also good for business.
Precisely, and showcasing the return on investment, both socially and financially.
Okay, I'm starting to get a feel for the challenges, but let's flip the script for a moment. What about the rewards? What makes all the hard work worthwhile for CSR managers?
For many, it's the profound sense of purpose they get from their work. They're not just going through the motions, they're driving positive change within their companies and the world at large. They get to be at the forefront of creating a more sustainable and equitable future.
It's like they're making history one ethical decision at a time.
Exactly.
And let's not underestimate the personal and professional growth opportunities.
This is a field that constantly challenges you to learn, adapt, and develop new skills.
So it's a career path with both a steep learning curve and a high ceiling for growth.
Absolutely. You're constantly exposed to new ideas, different perspectives, and innovative solutions.
Okay, have to ask, do you have any real-life examples of how CSR managers tackle those challenges and create impactful change?
I do. I can't share specific names, but I recently heard about a CSR manager at a global apparel company. They were tasked with improving the sustainability of the company's supply chain, a massive undertaking.
Especially in the fashion industry, which has a reputation for complex supply chains.
Exactly. And one of the biggest hurdles they faced was getting buy-in from suppliers in regions with less stringent labor and environmental regulations. They had to find a way to convince these suppliers that adopting more sustainable practices was not only the right thing to do, but also made good business sense.
That sounds like a tough crowd to win over.
It was, but they found a creative solution. They partnered with a local non-governmental organization, or NGO, to provide training and support to the suppliers. This NGO helped them implement more eco-friendly production methods and improve working conditions. So they found a way to empower their suppliers with the knowledge and resources they needed to make a change.
Exactly.
And it didn't stop there. They also collaborated with the company's marketing team to highlight their sustainable sourcing practices in their advertising campaigns. Smart move. Tapping into that growing consumer demand for ethically produced clothing. Right. And it created a win-win-win situation.
Yeah.
The suppliers benefited from the training and support. The company improved its sustainability profile and resonated with conscious consumers. And ultimately, it contributed to a more responsible and ethical fashion industry.
That's a fantastic example of how CSR managers can drive meaningful change on multiple levels. Okay, so we've talked about the what and the why of CSR, but let's dig into the how. How do these managers actually make ethical and sustainable practices a reality within their companies? It's easy to talk the talk, but how do they walk the walk?
That's where strategy comes in. A successful CSR manager needs a strategic mindset, almost like a general plotting a campaign.
I like that analogy. Lay it on me. What does the CSR battle plan look like?
You're absolutely right. It's not just about crunching numbers and generating reports.
Yeah.
Those soft skills you mentioned, communication, collaboration, relationship building, they're not just important, they're essential.
It's like the old saying goes, people don't care what you know until they know that you care.
Exactly. You can have the most impressive sustainability metrics in the world, but if you can't communicate them effectively, connect with people authentically, and build trust with your stakeholders, you're not going to achieve the level of impact you're aiming for.
So it's about being a storyteller as much as a data analyst.
100%. CSR managers need to be able to translate those complex data sets into compelling narratives that resonate with different audiences. They need to be able to explain in a clear and engaging way why CSR matters, what their company is doing, and how it connects to the bigger picture.
And that's where those collaboration and relationship building skills come into play.
Absolutely. They need to be expert communicators who can tailor their message to different audiences, whether they're presenting to the board of directors, rallying employees, or engaging with community members.
So it's not just about having a seat at the table, it's about being able to articulate the value of CSR in a way that resonates with everyone in the room.
And it goes beyond just talking. It's about listening actively, seeking diverse perspectives, and building genuine relationships built on trust and mutual respect.
So it's about building bridges, not just within the company, but also with external stakeholders.
You got it. CSR managers are often the bridge between a company and its stakeholders, facilitating dialogue, addressing concerns, and finding common ground.
It sounds like this role attracts a certain type of person, someone who thrives on challenge, is passionate about making a difference, and possesses a unique blend of analytical and interpersonal skills.
That's a great way to put it. It's not your typical 9 to 5 job.
So for anyone listening who's feeling inspired by this deep dive, what final words of wisdom would you offer? What does it take to truly thrive as a CSR manager?
First and foremost, be passionate about making a positive impact. This isn't just a job, it's a calling. You need to genuinely believe in the power of business to be a force for good in the world.
Passion is definitely key. What else?
Never stop learning. The CSR landscape is constantly evolving. Stay curious, stay informed about emerging trends and best practices, and always be open to new ideas.
So it's a career path that requires continuous learning and growth.
Absolutely. And finally, don't be afraid to think outside the box and challenge the status quo. Some of the most impactful CSR initiatives are the ones that break new ground and find innovative solutions to complex challenges.
That's incredibly inspiring. So to recap, a thriving CSR manager needs passion, a commitment to continuous learning, and a healthy dose of creativity.
Absolutely. If you bring those qualities to the table, you can make a real difference in the world through the power of corporate social responsibility.
Yeah. And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of corporate social responsibility managers. We've covered a lot of ground, from the day-to-day responsibilities and challenges to the incredible rewards and opportunities for impact. Remember, these are the folks working behind the scenes to create a more sustainable and equitable future for all of us. So the next time you hear about a company making headlines for its social or environmental initiatives, remember the dedicated CSR professionals driving that change. Until next time, keep asking those tough questions, keep seeking out knowledge, and keep diving deep into the topics that matter most. This is The Deep Dive, signing off.